Best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Week 8, halfway through the season. So far on money picks, 20 wins, 15 losses. That's 57%. And listen, last week we lost the battle. There's no other way to frame it. But we are winning the war. The weather's starting to churn, and we're going to churn out more money. Week 8, Vegas spread picks. Let's get this money. First game, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Buffalo Bills. Bucs are plus 8.5. Listen, I got the Bucs to cover, Bills to win. I do not want you betting this one. We're 5-2 on Thursday night, but does anyone want to take any credit for that? You want to beat your chest about it? I don't. I do think this Bucs defense steps up, and I do think there's something missing with this Bills team. And, you know, I didn't say they would lose to the Patriots. Sorry about that, but I have been trying to inform everyone. This Bills team just hasn't found rhythm. This Bills team needs another target for Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs to ball with, and it just doesn't seem like they're getting it. They're absolutely decimated on defense with the injuries, you know, and it's good when Baker Mayfield comes into Ralph Wilson. You know they're going to get stops, but any real team seems to be able to exploit that defense. I'm going Bucs to cover, Bills to win. Let's see how the Bills respond, man. They are up against the proverbial wall. Next game, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Indianapolis Colts. Saints are plus 1. Money, money, money. Money. Saints to win in the cover. I know. You're probably pulling your hair out at home. Let's break it down here. Listen, we knew the Jags and Saints game would go the way it did, but I did not know that Colts-Browns game would transpire into some sort of shootout. But let's take a deep breath and understand things get back to normal. And one thing about this Saints defense is they cover well and they stop the run well. I just don't think Baker, whatever his name, Gardner Minshew gets to 20, gets to 24 points. And eventually this Pete Carmichael offense needs to respond. And I think this is the week, and we're starting to see the Colts. They got a few players suspended on defense. They're starting to get beat up. The Saints have to respond this week. I don't see them fading out, and I'm not going to question the credibility on that team. We know they got a lot of good players. This is going to be an Alamo-type game for them. Give me the money on the team fighting for their life. Saints plus 1, making a money pick. Next game, we got the Houston Texans, Stroud, at the Carolina Panthers. Texans minus 3. Texans to win in the cover. It took so much for me not to make this a money pick. As the week goes on, I might add it to Patreon. Man, I'm looking at a Texans team that just plays with maturity. They got a rookie quarterback, yet they play with maturity. They're not churning the ball over. This DeMeco Ryans defense seems to be getting better play by play, week by week. And then you're facing a Panthers team, you know, Frank Reich is what Frank Reich does, and you can change the play caller, but that offense is still going to be stagnant. It's still going to be lackluster, and Thielen's having an amazing season. I think we see him traded in the next 2 weeks. I think the Texans win in the cover. I do worry about a response from the Panthers defense. They just haven't shown up this year. Even with that being said, Texans win in the cover. Both teams coming off the bye week. No advantage to be had here. Next game, we got the Jacksonville Jags at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jags minus 2.5. Borderline money pick. Jags. Borderline money pick. Listen, man, I know Heinz Field, Steelers, crazy stuff happens. We saw that Rams-Steelers game. Was I wrong about the Rams being a better football team? No. It's just crazy things happen in Steelers games, especially when they're playing on their home turf. But when you look at both of these teams, who's got the better quarterback? The Jags. Who's got the better defense? I think the Jags have the better defense. And I think the Jags particularly have a better defense in the secondary. I'm not sure sure what Kenny Pickett's going to be able to do this game. And we know the Jags are an inconsistent team. That's why this is a borderline money pick. That's why I'm not going full hoss on it, so to speak. And are the Steelers going to be able to run the ball? That's one thing you need to be able to do against the Jags, because if you become one-dimensional, Josh Allen, Walker, they start actually getting a pass rush. I think the Jags win this game and they cover. I think their offense is just light years ahead of that Steelers offense. Jags winning the cover. Next game, we're going to New York. We got the New York Jets at the New York Giants. Jets -3. Money, money, money. Money. Jets to win in the cover. Make it a damn money pick. I'm loving this one. Now, if Tyrod Taylor plays, I do think we're going to have to sweat a little bit more. We're hearing Danny Dimes might be back, but obviously Tyrod Taylor gives this Giants team a better chance to win. But even if he does play, I just think this Giants offensive line is going to get absolutely decapitated and destroyed. I mean, this Jets defensive line is 6, 7, 8 dogs deep, and I just can't see how the Giants are able to consistently move the ball. Now, on the other side, you do worry about Zach Wilson against Martindale. You know Martindale's going to chuck in blitzes, and you know Zach Wilson does not handle the blitz and pressure good. But I actually think the Jets can run the ball here. I'm not saying they're going for like 150. I'm not saying they're going to go up and down the field like they did against the Broncos. But I do think the Jets make bigger plays on offense. And I think this is a perfect spot to take the Jets. Coming off rest against the Giants team that, listen, this Giants team is fighting. They're not laying down. But there's only so much you can do when you don't have weapons, when Saquon Barkley's still banged up, and when your offensive line can't block anything. This is my favorite pick of the week. Jets to win in the cover. Make it a damn money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. The best gambling show on the internet. Let's get this money. Next game, we got the Atlanta Falcons at the Tennessee Titans. Titans are +2. I'm going against the grain here. Falcons. Falcons to win in the cover with the -2. I'm worried about the Titans quarterback situation because we know how bad Malik Willis is, and then we know how bad Will Levis is. Like, I don't think I'm exaggerating. Tannehill banged up. Titans offensive line not all that good. Here's where this game churns. I've been telling everyone, and I was right about the Falcons beating the Bucs last week. The Falcons dominated that game like they did the Commanders game. But the reason why this isn't a money pick, this Falcons team leads people in games. How many times did Ritter fumble in the red zone? 3, 4 times. Like, it got comedic at a certain point. But the big matchup in this game is who's going to block Grady Jarrett, who's going to block Calais Campbell. This Falcons run defense has been absolutely superb and prolific this year. I think they stop the run. I think the Falcons make more plays offensively, even with Desmond Ritter. Falcons to win in the cover with the -2. Next game, we got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Washington No-Names. Eagles -6.5. Listen, Eagles to win in the cover. I do think Sam Howell we're starting to see the bad sides of him more than the good sides. He holds the ball too long. The offensive line isn't all that good, and we know what the Eagles' defensive line is going to do. They're going to win battles, and they're going to hit Sam Howell. So I think that's where this game transpires. But about that Eagles-Dolphins game last week, 10 penalties for the Eagles, 0 for the Miami Dolphins. Listen, I know everyone wants me to get on here and have some sort of like sob story about the Eagles and say the Eagles are the best team on the planet, but I don't know if they're as good as they are last year. I think they win and cover against the Commanders. I think the Eagles will play good this game, but I'm just not sold like when you need to do like 8 quarterback sneaks in a game. Like, listen, Eagles win in the cover. Just needed to put that out there. Next game, we got the Los Angeles Rams at the Dallas Cowboys. Them boys. Rams are +6.5. Rams to cover, Cowboys to win. The reason why this isn't a money pick is this Rams offensive line, it just self-destructs at a certain point. And then when you talk about Cowboys, when you talk about playing the Dallas Cowboys, you always worry about Micah Parsons. And I don't know if there's anyone on the Rams offensive line that can even get in his way, let alone block him. And I am starting to get puzzled by some of these Sean McVay coaching decisions. He left us out to dry against the Steelers, and there's no other way to put it. And I know there was they didn't challenge the play near the end of the game. But Sean McVay is making some puzzling decisions, but also Mike McCarthy is too. And Mike McCarthy's probably the most conservative play caller, head coach in this league. I think it stays close. I think the Rams could backdoor cover here. Rams cover, Cowboys win. I understand the temptation with the 6.5 here. I get it, man. I just can't go there with the way McVay's coaching right now. And then we know Mike McCarthy, he could explode on the sidelines. Next game, we got the New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins -9. Money. Dolphins to win in the cover. Dolphins to win in the cover. I know. A lot of people are going to be mad at home. But I'm taking the Dolphins in this situation. If Jalen Waddle's out there, I'm going to bet it. And we know when you face a Bill Belichick defense, he's going to take away the number one wide receiver, or he's at least going to limit him in Tyreek Hill. So Waddle needs to play, and I just don't think this Patriots renaissance, these last 2 Patriots games, are anything to get me excited. Credit to them for beating the Bills, but how much do you take from that? Do you think Mac Jones is going to play good? And I think this Dolphins team gets into the 30s. And even if this Patriots defense comes out and plays good in the heat, in the Miami air, in that humidity, I do think they break down as the game goes on. Give me the Dolphins to win in the cover. I'm not getting dramatic about what happened last week. I understand everyone wants to go 360. Like now the 49ers sucked because they lost to my Vikings. Oh, now the Patriots can win 9 games because they beat the Bills. Sometimes we need to take a deep breath and understand the NFL is crazy. Next game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the San Francisco 49ers. Bengals +5.5. I got the Bengals to cover, 49ers to win here. I will tell you one thing that did panic me a little bit about the 49ers' performance these last 2 games. Brock Purdy's been off, man. And you can say what you will about this Bengals team and their performances so far this year. This defense has came into battle every single game, and they're going to fight. They're pretty good against the run. They're pretty good against the pass. I think this Bengals defense comes out and makes it possible for them to win. I do not like this matchup, though, from the Bengals' perspective on offense. I do think Burrow's close to healthy, but we're going to obviously see that. He's going to need to move this week a lot, and I'm not liking the Bengals' offensive line play this year. Like any game where they didn't win that battle, like the Titans game, the Ravens game, they got absolutely slaughtered. I think the Bengals keep it close. I think they're going to have the ball with a chance to win this game. I just don't think they get it over the hump. And I also think this 49ers team is going to come out like a squad possessed. Bengals cover the 5.5. 49ers win. I am really tempted, like anytime you get the Bengals +6, +5.5, you do have to think a few times about that. I'm laying off Bengals cover, 49ers win. Next game, we got the Cleveland Browns at the Seattle Seahawks. Browns +3. I got the Browns to win in the cover in an upset. And I'm not trying to be cute here. I'm not trying to be funny. I understand we don't know who's going to play quarterback. And it might be better if we get P.J. Walker instead of Deshaun Watson. The few snaps Deshaun Watson played against the Colts, he was absolutely terrible. I mean, there's no other words, and I feel like he quit on the team, man. I really do, and I can go into that in the live call-in show. But I do think this Browns defense steps up. I do think they can absolutely terrorize terrorize and pulverize the Seahawks offensive line. I wasn't happy with what I saw from the Seahawks last week against the Cardinals. I don't know about Hawks fans. I don't know about you guys at home, but that just didn't feel good enough, like especially when they got in the red zone. And it looks like DK Metcalf will play. They will need him, but this game is more about the Browns defense responding. That performance against Minshew was one of the most crazy performances we've seen this whole year. Browns defense comes back, and I just don't like this Hawks team as much as other people. Browns +3 winning the cover. Next game, we got the Minnesota Vikings at the Green Bay Packers. Vikings -1. Money, money, money. Money. Listen, we're 2-0 on when we bet the Vikings this year on this Tuesday video. Let's try to go 3-0 here. I got the Vikings to win in the cover. Now, I understand that this is probably a good spot to take the Packers. You know, the Packers coming off rest, coming off more practice time. Vikings are not a great team on the road. I understand it. I understand why you would think that. But the Packers just can't push the Vikings buttons. Like, look, now when we talk about the Vikings buttons, you talk about pass blocking, you talk about turnovers. We know the Vikings struggle with both of those areas. The Packers aren't a team that's going to press the issue or force the issue on any of that. Also, Vikings have struggled to run the ball all year. This Packers team can't stop the run. So at a certain point, man, I think it comes down to Jordan Love or Kirk Cousins. And I'm going Kirk Cousins. And even without Justin Jefferson, I'd take Kirk's weapons. Like, I'd take Osborne, I'd take Addison, I'd take Hawkinson before Jordan Love's weapons. And I'm not trying to make some sort of excuse for Jordan Love. I did tell you he would struggle, but I think the Vikings make more plays. Like, I see like a 20-17 game, and I see the Vikings getting on the right end of that. Also, if you're a Packers fan, you have to ask yourself a question like, listen, do we necessarily want to win these games? And I know no one in the NFL tanks, and that's why we love this fucking league. But the Packers have to start asking themselves some tough questions, and I think the Vikings make them do it. Next game, we got the Baltimore Ravens at the Arizona Cards. Cards +8.5. I got the Cards to cover, Ravens to win. The Desert's a tough place to play. Listen, we're not going to get Kyler Murray back, and I'm not telling you the Cardinals could possibly win this game, but I am telling you, man, credit to the Ravens and everything they did, but I don't think they're this dominant team as everyone's saying. I don't think they're the second or first best team in the AFC. Credit to what they did against the Lions. They absolutely came out and played tremendous football. But I don't know if this Ravens team has the consistency the mainstream media thinks. I'm going Cards to cover, Ravens to win. We'll see how this game goes. Next game, we got the Chicago Bears. The Bears at the Los Angeles Chargers. Bears +8.5. I want to bet the Bears so bad. I want to bet this Bears team so bad. And, you know, this Brandon Staley experiment just hasn't worked. This team isn't fighting for him anymore. This team isn't doing the little things. And Herbert just hasn't played all that good this year. Also, his targets haven't played all that good this year. And it just seems like we haven't even seen Austin Eckler in full rhythm. Like, I think the Chargers win the game, but I think the Bears cover this. Now, you do worry about when you got Badgett, when you got Peterman. You would love if Justin Fields was in here, and it would probably lower to +6.5, and then you could bet it. But it doesn't look like Fields is going to play. I just think this Bears team shows more fight than this Chargers team. I think the Chargers win it late, but the Chargers season's over, guys. Like, it's over. They're in the same place as the Bears. Bears cover, Chargers win. Next game, Monday Night Football. We got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Detroit Lions. Lions -8.5. I got the Raiders to cover, Lions to win. When this was at like 6.5, 7, I really wanted to bet it. When I did the video today, it obviously moved up. People saw that and spotted it and nipped it into behind. I do think the Lions respond here, though. And I got to give credit to this Raiders defense. They performed better than everyone thought. You got Max Crosby, but the problem with the Raiders defense this game, Max Crosby's going to be matched up on Penei Sewell, the best right tackle in this league. So I think they canceled themselves out. And I think the Lions playing at home are going to come out with force. They're going to come out with will and grit. Actually, Lions winning the cover. 8.5 isn't fundamentally sound. We don't know if Jimmy G's going to play. I do think he'll be out there, but we know how bad the other options at quarterback are for the Raiders. Lions minus 8.5. I believe they win and cover. Too big a price on Monday night to get me involved. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. The best gambling show on the internet. Let's get this money.